Well, what's going on with the legislature, they're focusing on legacy TIFs, which means TIF districts that don't have an end date. Most of our TIFs are 20, 25 years. They have an end date, and then when it reaches that point, it'll stop, and then the taxes then will go to all the taxing entities. And the development will generally stop there. But in downtown areas, they typically have unended. There's no end to the date of a TIF district because it's usually the older part of town that needs a lot of long-term improvements to it. And most of the projects come along a little slower than a new area by the interstate where you might have things pop up almost overnight. What our concern is with our TIF district is we've done, well, gosh, in the last 7-8 years, we've had about $220 million in investment. And a lot of that, I would say 90 to 95% is because of the investment the city has made through the TIF district. And they're not always big dollar amounts, but they're what closes the deal. It's the gap funding, basically. And then so you've got new construction, and they're paying new taxes that then pay us back for that investment. So in essence, we break even on that because you wouldn't have had the new development if we didn't have the incentive. And then in the long run, that gives us new revenues then to do other projects. And so we've done a tremendous amount of projects. It's working like it should work. The legislature's concerned with some places where they don't feel like it's working like it should.
You also mentioned new construction going on at 5th and 6th Streets on Wabash. I believe that's the new, is it an ISU dorm?
It's actually housing. And so in that block there, it's a public-private partnership with a local developer and ISU, and they will be building a first floor commercial and 4 stories above that of residential. That will be kind of more, there's an ISU subsidy to that, so it's ISU related housing. They're leasing that for their students, but it'll be much more upscale. It'll be downtown. It kind of brings the students to live downtown. That's the really neat part about this.
The Terre Haute City Council is looking to hire a financial planner, per se. You're against that. Why?
Yeah, I'm against it because we already have 2 financial consultants that we pay, and they're both top notch. The council would like some of their own financial consulting, so we supported that last year. They got their results, and they think they'd like to do it again. Maybe not spend as much this year because they don't need to do some of the work they did last year. My biggest concern is they're taking it out of the controller's budget. Instead of spending city council monies, they want to spend our money. And so all I've asked them to do is find a way to build it into their own budget, and then they can do their own thing. And I don't like going back and adjusting the budget every year because they decide they want to hire a consultant.
You talked about spending $250 million over the next 18 years on the wastewater treatment plant here. Is that more of an update or an increase in usage?
We've got an old system. You know, our sewer system in the city was built in the 1860s, and then the treatment plant came online in 1961, and none of that's really had a lot of upgraded to it. So this long-term control plan will help us to keep, you know, raw sewage or dirty water getting into the river. So as we increase the plant, we work on our infrastructure and create some other opportunities to temporarily store this water when the system gets full. It's going to fix our problem with the feds that we're not dumping it into the river. It's going to help us from an economic development perspective because we can take about 40% more capacity in the plant, and that one of the best things out of it is we get rid of the smell.
What's the update on a new possible police station here in Terre Haute?
We've been talking about this for several years, and my biggest concern was when our assessed value dropped last year was would we have enough income coming through the TIF district to make a bond payment? So we had to delay our planning for about a year. So we're just now ready to ramp up the design work. We're going to go ahead and get that done. If this legislation goes through the way they're proposing it, and this does get sunsetted, as long as we get the police station and the bonding, the TIF station built into the plan specifically, and the bond done by July of next year, 2015, it'll be included in that.